molasses, but they made it. All right, let's move on. Let's welcome our cousin, our friend and brother indeed, Urban Joyner. He's going to come and do a presentation about the family history. Well, who can do it better than Mr. Joyner? I saw a picture of him in there too. I didn't want to say nothing about it, but Lord, smooth as butter. Yes, sir. Come on, let's go. We can do better than that. Let's welcome him to the. We thank God for his example, for his accomplishments. I thank God for him because he's what I like to call a mark. He's a mark. Someone you could look at and aim your future after. So I just thank God for your example, for this family, and for all the things you do for it. So I'm gonna, hey, just take, I can't even present you right. Just take this mic.
All right, thank you, Reverend. Thank you all for being here today. And even though there's an ocean between us, my understanding is that somebody will get a bump or something in the middle to bring it together. The reflections got to me. So work with me on this. There was a beginning, and we were not there. Someone, somewhere, represented our beginning. And what we've been able to do is to trace that beginning back to 1840. Some of you may have been there. But we are able to identify the birth of Isaac Joyner, who was born on the plantation of John Joyner in LaGrange, in the Mosley Hall, Bear Creek Township, what is now called Caswell Street in LaGrange. John Joyner was a slave owner and planter, which means that Isaac Joyner, who did not have that name at the time, was a slave. So we are able to trace back to the John Joyner plantation, the birth of Isaac in 1810. And John Joyner was a wealthy and politically connected owner of more than 40 slaves in the LaGrange area. He was not the largest slave owner there. The largest slave owner was Wooten's, and they had several plantations there, and for many of you, that's the other side of your family. So when I talk about the Joyner history and the Taylor history, I'm talking about the histories of a number of families in LaGrange, because we all found ourselves together. One of the important things for us to remember is that Isaac Joyner had 5 children. And trying to find it. Isaac, and it's difficult to really talk about this in the sense that in 1810, African Americans could not marry. It was illegal for them to marry. Yet, Isaac was able to have a connection with Sally. And from that, we were able to record the birth of 5 brothers. There was Patrick, there was Robert, who has been referred to as Bob, Peter Taylor, Wright, Joyner, and Patrick. Robert, the oldest, was born in 1828. Peter Taylor was born in 1831. Wright Joyner was born in 1844. Isaac James was born in 1845, and Patrick was born in 1852. And the importance of that is that all of them were born in slavery. And all of them endured a number of years in slavery, where they toiled on the John Joyner plantation. Many of them as carpenters and laborers. And the significance of that is that after the Civil War and after slavery, well, official slavery in that day had ended, all of them became independent business people. And they went out to set out for their own families and to prepare their own way. Now, the Wright Joyner family is over in this section. They know who they are. The Peter Taylor family is over here in this area. And the Isaac Joyner family is in this area over here. And the Patrick Joyner family is in this area over here. And some of the Isaac people as well. But Patrick Joyner family basically are sitting over in this area. And we don't know where Bob is. Bob got his hat. Bob thought that there was a better way, and he accessed that route. Now, one of the things that you need to know is that during slavery, there was an active abolitionist movement going on in North Carolina. Under the guidance of Abraham Galloway, free Africans who were not slaves and some slaves banded together to help slaves escape. And the area that was basically set aside for the escaping slaves and free Africans was Newburgh, Craven County. And the dividing line between that area of the state where these free Africans and runaway slaves gathered was Kinston. So it was a little line that ran from Jacksonville around to Kinston, Trenton, James City, which was an all-black city. But slaves in the interior were trying to get to Newburgh so that they could be free. And as I understand it, LaGrange is a half a minute away from Newburgh. And it is hoped that Bob was on that freedom train headed to Newburgh, although y'all don't want to go to Newburgh anymore because it's not the place to be. Back in that time, it was the place to be because it was on the coast where there was water and there were boats and you could sail away anywhere that you wanted to go. So the available records show that Bob was born, but at some point disappeared. And we would like to think that it was for a higher purpose. Although that doesn't necessarily mean that that is what happened, because just as we have today, the life of African Americans were very cheap in those days, and it was not illegal to kill a slave. Well, today it's not illegal to kill a black man. So we haven't changed. But we like to hope that Bob moved on to a better place. Now, at some point, the families are going to make connections in their various geological units to bring you up to date with where they are now. And my presentation is going to basically stop at this point with bringing you to the history. But just know that whether we're talking about the Wright family, whether we're talking about the Peter Taylor family, and the Isaac family, and the Patrick family, that a large segment of them stayed in the LaGrange, Lenoir County area. And they are responsible for your being here. I mean, you didn't just pop up like out of the toaster, like a Pop-Tart. You had some strings and some beginnings that brought you here. And I like the way that the reflections ended, that wherever you are in life, it's because you stand on the shoulder of Isaac, Wright, Patrick, Peter, and Wright Joyner. And I think that we ought to always remember that they suffered through much more than we ever had. And they survived. And they survived to create offspring called us. And our mission, I would think, from my perspective, is to forever honor them for their contributions. And based on those contributions, that we dedicate ourselves to becoming the best we that we can be, because there are others who will come along to stand on our shoulders. And if our shoulders are weak, then their foundation are weak. And we would hope that you would lift up and remember and work with this history so that people will know, yes, our family was born in slavery, but we overcame. And we have been able to do wonders with what it is that, that we were given. And they gave to us all of the necessary ingredients to be successful and make significant contributions to this society. So thank you, and I'll hand it back to Raven, Governor Raven.